hopefully we have more people coming on as we continue to go through this, because honestly, when it comes to where your business is at today and where you want to see your business be at tomorrow, it is a recruiting game. So for those of you uplines, I mean, obviously I posted today just kind of a reminder, but we're really trying to make sure that these calls are action-packed. And, one of the reasons that they went away initially was just that we just continue to see less and less and less people being on them. And I'm telling you, like, we want to give you guys tools for success, but that's also going to mean that we are making sure that our downlines are on these calls. And then if you're a young coach, there is no better way to get started. It's the exact same thing as if you were starting a job at a corporate office. I mean, you want to show up, you want to be attending these types of things to make sure that you're getting all the resources you need to be the most successful that you can in this business. So I'm excited to have Amber and Jess with us tonight. You guys, if you are not watching and reading those morning papers, you've easily been seeing Jessica's name in them a lot lately, and it was really cool. We did the office party on Thursday night, and I'm listening to Jess talk about this business in a way that I don't feel like I've heard her talk about it before. And I went back and I told Amber, I really want to have her on this call. And so I really think you guys are going to get a great perspective from somebody who's been around a while, for somebody who has had to work at it and scratch and claw and figure out on her own and be resourceful. And now she can actually step in and give you guys some really good insights into recruiting. So I'm really excited to have you on, Jess. Thanks so much for being a part of it. One other thing, tomorrow we're going to be making a big announcement in the Ignition Mission 2018 page. So be sure that you guys are looking in there tomorrow. We'll have the morning paper, and we'll also have a big opportunity for you guys getting posted tomorrow. Okay. Let's get to it. Let's chat recruiting. Sound good? Cool. Yeah. All right. So I'm interested. I'm going to, Amber, don't take offense. I'm going to start with Jess, though. I want to know, when it comes to recruiting, where are you spending your time right now? I like knowing the Facebooks, the Pinterest, the Instagrams. Where do you seem to be finding prospects?
Like so many coaches, Instagram is kind of where it's at for me right now. If anyone watched or listened to the National Wake Up Call this morning, he talked a little bit about how Facebook has changed and ads haven't been as effective. And, I've just never gotten great traction on Instagram. I still post the same content. I don't neglect it. It happens occasionally that I find people on Facebook, but I feel like as far as cold market prospects go, I definitely spend most of my time on Instagram. FYI, if you guys hear yelling, it's 6 o'clock here. So it's still dinner time, bath time, bedtime, just bear with me. So yeah, Instagram is definitely where I tend to find more of my tribe, from Instagram.
How about you, Ams? Where are you spending your time right now?
Yeah, same. I mean, it's definitely shifted. I would say for me, it's from a cold market perspective, it's Instagram, but from the people that are kind of in my personal sphere, it's my personal Facebook page. And that would be just people that, I've known my whole life, that I keep sort of following up with and inviting. But yeah, from finding new people, it's definitely Instagram.
So unpack that a little bit. So obviously Instagram is working for you. Are you getting, a lot of your top prospects? Is that coming from, we do a lead generator tonight and you ask people to leave a comment, or are they going to maybe Linktree and filling out a form? Are you getting them in stories? I love that it's a platform. Where in the platform, where are you guys finding people? Where are you starting those conversations?
For me, honestly, I occasionally get traction on my lead generators. And in fact, I would say over the last couple weeks, the most traction that I've been getting is regarding the product, actually. It's been when I'm talking about Shakeology or I'm talking about Daily Sunshine, I get more people actually responding to that because I feel like it's a really clear cut sale. Whereas I feel like the challenge group concept, people don't really get it. I do find for people that join my challenge groups, it's usually through a lengthier conversation. I do message occasionally, like I go through the people that like my post or my lead generator. I message them, thank you for liking it. And most of the people have already messaged me in the past. So it's like a continuation of a conversation. But primarily, I would say stories. I always make sure, like if I do a lead generator Monday, Thursday, maybe Tuesday, Friday, I will do a stories about whatever that lead generator was about, or direct people to the lead generator, or share some of my story in a live video. And then that way, because you can see in your archive who has viewed it, that's actually been my core group of people, is the people who are actually watching my stories, because I feel like they have a little bit more of an idea of what it is I'm actually doing on a day-to-day. So I will follow up with everybody who watches any kind of a story that has any kind of call to action in it. Hold on, guys. Amber, do you want to take over for a second?
Yeah, I would say for me, on Instagram, it's a few different spots probably. So, I do some polls, obviously, and by polls, I mean, I'll do a post and talk a little bit about some sort of part of coaching, and then I'll ask people if they want more information. And you'll notice I always give like 2 positive answers usually, so they can't tell me no. So I'll usually say like, yes, tell me more, or I'll say maybe, but I'm nervous, or I'll say maybe later. The maybe later has been huge for me when I ask that on the poll, because I think that there are a lot of people out there that are like, maybe someday I do want to do that. And so the maybe later I get a lot of answers when I use that. And then even if they say later, I'll follow up and say, hey, thanks so much for showing interest. Even if now is not the time, I'd love a chance just to share a little bit more about coaching with you. No pressure, but I just, would just love to answer any questions that you might have right now. And so polls is one way. I do lead generators. And I would say though that when you do a lead generator about coaching, at least in my experience, I found that I don't get a lot of people to say, yes, like I want to sign up as a coach today. But I still do them because I think it's important for people to know that in the back of their mind there is an opportunity. And so what I would say is that people who join your challenge group, even as customers, they're already then thinking that there's something beyond the customer part of it. And so, you may not get a lot of people to say, yes, I'm ready today. And even if people do reach out on lead generator, it's very rare that they sign up right then and there. It usually takes like a few more conversations. But so that's another way. But the main way that I would say lately that I've been having success is by just being really more proactive about it. So finding people on Instagram that I think would be really fun to work with, and then just building that relationship. This is what I covered on my Power Hour last week or the week before, whenever that was, where I just kind of build that relationship, and then I go ahead and proactively invite them or ask if they've ever considered coaching that way. And so my process for that is I'll usually just say, because it's nerve-wracking still for me to do that, and I'm sure you guys can relate. Anytime you send an invite out, you still get sort of that like, you kind of have to like psych yourself up for it. And so I'll just tell people, hey, I am honestly really nervous to even ask you this because I don't want to come across the wrong way. But I just can't help but think of how amazing you would be at coaching. And because of this post I saw, or, the way that you write is really encouraging. And I'll just try to kind of compliment them. And then I'll ask if they've ever considered, learning more about coaching or doing what I do. And that's been a great way to really start that conversation. A lot of times they won't, again, sign up right away. And so that's what I want to keep kind of reiterating for you guys, is that if someone says no one time, it's okay. That's totally normal. A lot of people will take, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times before they actually say yes. That doesn't mean you should give up on them, but I would say those are probably the main 3 ways that I'm attracting coaches right now.
With like the way that you answered that, like covered like 3 of my questions. So we're gonna unpack them. So stick to the question. One thing I did want to add though, like I know we kind of write off Facebook really quickly. I would say the business side of Facebook, if you're posting content, like you're writing out things and posting that, I don't know if that's getting a ton of traction, but I have to say we did a video the other day in our business page, and like we went back and we looked at it. It's been seen by over 8,500 people. So like I do think that there is some video aspect. Actually, so I see Nate's on the call tonight. Like Nate did a video from his Dual Fitness page. And like when it came up in my feed, it had already been viewed by like 160 people. So like there is something to the video side. It's probably the most uncomfortable side for all of you guys. But I would say if you can get in the habit, even like one thing that we're going to be rolling out here probably next week when we have a little bit of consistency to our lives is we're going to try and be on Facebook Live every single morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like I want people just to kind of come to expect to wake up with us. So, just as you guys are kind of thinking through your business and trying to create that story and that brand and those conversations with people, I think it is just being wise in how we use platforms and not necessarily to write off Facebook, but like find the areas of Facebook that might be, better suited. Yeah, I love that. Like, yeah, recipe videos, because you're in the, like the nice thing with a recipe video or a workout is like, you're already in the middle of something. So you don't necessarily have to, talk the entire time. You can kind of like shift your focus around, regather your thoughts. I think that's a great place. And like for, some of the things that we're constantly talking about is also how can we continue to really be plugging Take Back the Kitchen on a more regular basis. And I think recipe videos are a huge component to that. So one of the things you kind of naturally went into, but I'll kick it over to you, Jess. When you're building cold relationships, I do want to plug the Power Hour. If you guys have not gone back and watched that, like it's just a great way for you to, if you're going to work for an hour, turn on Amber's Power Hour from last week, go into the page, do a search for Power Hour, and just turn it on and work. It's a good way to get in the habit. Maybe do it a couple times throughout the week just so you're in the habit of doing what you need to do to grow your business. But beyond that, one question that came up on Thursday night is like, how many people do I just need to message in order to go diamond? And so I'd love for you guys to unpack how you're building relationships, what types of questions. I mean, you don't even know these people. So for everybody else on the call, where are you starting those conversations? Think very elementary.
So first, like, I just want to say real quick, like, aside from logistical things, like you've heard Jake and Amber, like both allude to like, it's scary or like, it's a little uncomfortable. Like, I want to say first and foremost, when you're inviting, this is something that I've learned really since Summit. Like, if you're not excited and passionate about what you're inviting to, it's going to be awful. Like, I find for myself, if I watch a training, listen to personal development, just came off the national wake-up call, plugged into the Beachbody Champions page, had to talk with another coach about being excited about a product, I'm more likely to then jump in and be like, oh my gosh, I thought of this person. I really want to tell them about this. And then when you invite that way, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like, oh my gosh, I just heard about this really cool thing we're doing called Take Back the Lunchbox. And we were just talking about packing lunches and how annoying it is. Like, I really would love for you to do this. So I honestly I don't want to say like I don't build the relationship, but I don't put that much thought into building the relationship as much as I put thought into what am I really passionate about sharing with people? Because I think if you can up your game in terms of your love of what you're doing and how passionate you are about sharing it, you're not going to come across like a salesy, hey girl, my next group starts this day. Like, I can't tell you like how many questions or how many messages I get from people that have that sort of scripted line. And I mean, voice message and Instagram video message are the way to go if you want to convey passion. Get yourself psyched up, take some Energize, and bust out like 50 invites. I don't really do invites every day so much as, maybe 2 days a week. just slay through a ton of invites. And like I said, if I'm on my Insta stories and I specifically posted like, take back the lunchbox, what is it? And, you can kind of click through, like, maybe I did 4 videos, and on the 4th video, there was still 93 people that stuck through all 4 videos to watch it. Every one of those people is going to get an excited, like, oh my gosh, I know you just saw this Insta story that I did. Thanks for watching it. I'm so excited about this. So like, if you're not feeling excited about inviting, it's going to be miserable. So like, my things are, National Wake Up Call, Beachbody Champions page, the Ignition Mission page, and whatever personal development you're doing, make sure that it's something that's going to get you super psyched about inviting people to what you're doing. I just got off track there from the question, which was like building cold invites. I don't really consider it a cold invite if someone has watched my stories a bunch of times. And like just last week when I talked about Take Back the Lunchbox, some of the people that I message, as soon as I click on my archives or see who watched that story and I click on that person to message them, I see, wow, we've actually conversed like 6 or 7 times now. So it's not a cold invite to that person. And it's surprising how many people, or even I've already messaged them 3 or 4 times and they haven't responded, but actually depends on where you're coming from or what they need. They may respond to that 5th message, not if it's the same exact, hey girl, my next group starts this date. And then a month later, hey girl, my next group starts that date. Hey girl, my next group starts that date. But if it's something different that you're doing, different that you're sharing, something you're passionate about, something that solves a different problem, then I would say, go ahead and still send them a passionate message. Now, sometimes I find if I, click on someone and there's no message history, like I've never messaged them before, they've never messaged me, I may choose to just go to their page and learn about them and just like and comment and just say, you know what, like if they're still watching my stories, I'm going to get them next round. So I will say sometimes I do opt, if there's no message history before I do an invite, I might just go to their page and connect with them a little bit and kind of, or go to their stories and look at their stories and just send them a message about their stories. But I don't intentionally sit down every day to like comment, like, conversate with people about things outside of Beachbody.
And Eames, maybe you can kind of share, because you've gotten into this like kind of new fearless zone that you really haven't been in before, where you see people that you think are, would be excellent coaches. They've got, more than 100 followers. They've got 10,000 followers or 15,000 followers. I mean, these are intimidating people to reach out to. Can you talk about like where you're starting your process and, where that begins as far as like just kind of like fostering a new relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I am going after some more influencers, but I also, like, I don't rule anyone out, really, even if they do have just a smaller following too, but I've been trying to challenge myself to get outside my comfort zone a little bit. But I would say, like, and again, I went over all this in my power, so I won't like go over it exactly again, but I have a really great process of how I find someone that I really like, and I'll add them to my collections on Instagram. And then, so sorry. So Marielle, new coach, I must have just caught her at the right time, because she's like, you messaged me on the first time and it worked. Oh man, that's funny. But anyway, so I find these people that I really like, and then I'll add them to my collections, and I'll literally just work my way through like the alphabet. So I try to add about 20 new people a day, of just people that I kind of want to get to know, people that I want to be, invested in, and I'll comment on their stuff and build the relationship. And I do that mostly because, like, in real life, for example, this has been really kind of sort of how I started this process. As we've been in this new area, I've been meeting lots of new people, and, lots of moms at school will be chatting, and never once have I just out of the blue said, hey, my name's Amber, do you want to be a coach? Like, I would never, ever do that. And so really trying to approach these people that, again, and this is different than what Jess was talking about, because she was talking about like people that are already invested in her, watching her stories. These are people that I am proactively not connected with at all. People that I am, building a relationship with. And so it's different because they don't know you and you don't have any of those conversations going already. So, so for people like that, I'm literally putting them into a collection, and then I'm just commenting on their posts, or I'll watch their stories, and I make a point about once a week to connect. Maybe, what do I mean by collections? Yeah. So this is what one of the things I covered in my Power Hour. I'll go over it real quick right now, but basically, what's really cool about Instagram, because, it can be tough to figure out, okay, you have people that you want to build a relationship with. And it's like they come across your screen and then you like it and you comment and then they're lost forever because of how the algorithm works. You may not, even if you follow them, you may not ever see their post again. And so to find a way to sort of collect these people that you think would be awesome has been so key for me. So what I do is, you go to your Instagram page and you go to your profile, like the front profile, there's going to be a little thing that has 3 lines up in the upper right-hand corner. It might be different if you don't have the update, but that's what you're looking for, is the saved items. And you click on saved, and then you're going to add a plus sign here. And you can actually add the names of different collections. So what I did is I just named 26 different collections, A to Z. So I added A collection, B collection, C collection. And then what you can do, let's just say you go and you find this gal. I don't know who she is, but I'll just for quick. So I'll find someone that's awesome that I think would be cool. And then you're going to find one of her photos. I don't know if you guys, can you see that? So you'll find one of her photos, and then there's this little ribbon. You'll hold that down. Like her name's, I'll just say it's K, starts with a K. And then you can find K collection. Where's my K? Where's my K? I can't get this. There we go. And then it automatically gets saved to your Ks. And so then like, okay, I have all of these people that are my prospects. How can I build that relationship with them? And so then I make a point to go through like a few letters each day to just reconnect with everyone in that collection. So that's what I mean by collections. And so then from there, that's when after about a month-ish is what I've been telling people. It kind of depends on the person, but about a month after maybe I've connected a few times, then I will go ahead and send them that message of, can't wait, or I'm kind of nervous to reach out to you, yada, yada, yada. But I've been meaning to reach out to you, but I think you'd be awesome. And then I kind of go into that. And then I invite them. So anyway, that's kind of my process there. Sorry, go ahead, Jake. So you're going to jump in. Sorry.
So the one thing that I think is kind of unique with you is that you like leading with the business opportunity. And that's something that you've gotten more and more comfortable with. So, obviously you're following some sort of algorithm, you're creating some level of relationship, commenting, watching stories. And like, if you don't know how Instagram works, I'm assuming you guys are far more savvy than me, but if you are liking people's stuff and you're watching their stories, they're way more likely to pull up in the front end of your algorithm, up at the top of your stories. So the more that you engage with people that you think would be great, and again, these are people that you could see yourself doing business with. And I think the big thing that I want to get out of that, more so than collections and all this stuff, is like, Instagram is beautiful because it's not so scary to connect with strangers. Like, they don't know you. It really doesn't matter. If they don't follow you back, who cares? You can download Instagram Cleaner. You can go out. You can clean all your profiles out. You can hire a service to do follow and unfollow. It doesn't matter. Like, you don't need to be intimidated by trying to create new relationships. And then it's the same thing as what you do when you go out into the community and you're having conversations with people. You want to know about them. You want to compliment them. And then it's kind of like dating a little bit. I mean, you also want to be seen like, would they be a good addition to your team? And then that's where, like, if you really think they are, or they could be, And that's where I love like Jess talking about like just being passionate. Like if you just truly believe that this person would be an addition to your team and you come across as genuine and fired up and excited about them, I think it comes from a real healthy place. And whether you're jumping right into it or you're fostering a relationship, I think it comes across as sincere, and that matters more than really anything else. So how about engaging with your warm market or like your friends? Like what's that relationship like for you, Jess, when you're trying to connect with maybe other people in the community or anything like that? Like any advice as far as getting outside of your head and what maybe your immediate sphere might think when you're getting started?
Well, I was in a unique position when I started that my sister and my cousin had already coached for a little over a year. They really weren't doing anything with the business. They never shared it with me. They never talked about it with me. But most of my warm market, like friends and family, were already kind of involved. And then the people that weren't involved, I think were already very turned off from the process. So it took me a long time to get the courage to come around to my warm market, just because I felt like they probably already got the invite and the message from, the other family members of mine that had done this. But I mean, really the only advice, because it's different, like I message everybody differently. I don't often copy and paste the script. I mean, sometimes, but most often I don't. And I think if you're just being really honest, so if I message them saying like, voice message, for example, like I was really nervous to reach out to you, but I really want to reach out to you. I'm sure you've seen what I've been posting about, or like maybe I share a post with them and I say like, I know, you're into fitness. Have you seen this thing that I've been doing? I think that you'd be really amazing. Like just being totally real. Like I'm really excited to share this with you. Like, do you want to learn more about it? Like not barf, Beachbody barf, tons of information, but just gauge an interest level before you take the next step. And that's kind of where the info groups that I've been running have been key, because I feel like that gives me a platform to be a little bit more bold and be a little bit more straightforward. So kind of like in the message, I would say creating curiosity and asking for interest. So I'm not even asking for a sale from the people that I'm close to. I don't want them to think I'm going to hound them for sales. I'm just simply creating curiosity and asking them if there's an interest. And if there is an interest and getting them into like an info type group, then I have a little bit more of a leg to stand on in terms of asking them if they want to like join or make a purchase, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, and while we've got you on the topic, like you kind of transitioned, which was going to be like my next point anyways. Could you maybe break down a little bit with what you're doing from an info group? And then I've got a follow-up question, but I'll kind of let you run with it and then see if my question needs to be asked.
Okay, so the info groups, I just want to share with you guys, like I did not want to run sneak peeks at all. I didn't like them. I felt like I'm already trying to run a challenge group, then I'm running a coach group, and then I'm trying to run free groups. I'm trying to give free value, and I'm trying to post on my page. Like I don't have the bandwidth to run a sneak peek group on any kind of regular basis. So even though I watched training after training after training and heard coach after coach after coach say sneak peek groups are where they get the majority of their clients, I just was very resistant to doing that. I think it took until I heard, I think it was Rachel Bodie talking about running a business on part-time hours and saying where you're weak, you either need to get help or get a system. And I realized I really needed to get a system for inviting if I wanted to break past that barrier of, SC5, SC10 on a good month. So I decided to just jump in. Last month, I ran 3 sneak peeks and just like get dirty, guys. Like just get in, invite as many people as you can to get in the group that you feel comfortable with. And then, it may be crickets your first time running an info group, or I'm calling them info groups. But I think that is the way that you're going to recruit bigger numbers. That doesn't mean you take away the one-on-one conversation. That just means everyone's in the same forum to gain the information that you want to give. And then you have time for like the one-on-one follow-up conversations and sales. Because I was having the same conversation with so many people and leaving so many questions unanswered and being afraid to be salesy. But if they're in that group, then they've, told me that they have some level of interest. So the first info group I ran last week was a Lift 4 info group, and I'm going to run another one this week. And so I guess they've kind of replaced my free groups. So I try to pack value within that group. So it's, I would say, more than just a sneak peek. Like I'll post the Lift for promo. I'll post the free workout. I'll give them a glimpse into the nutrition plan. I'll share testimonies. Now I have testimonies from my own challengers who've had success. I have 2 gals set up to do like a live interview in that group of, how the programs changed their life. And I think before there was a few things missing from my invite process, and that was like FOMO and momentum, because when you're having a one-on-one conversation, there's no momentum. It's just you and that other person. But with an info group, I'm realizing like you can create that FOMO. As people sign up, you shout them out, you get excited. You can give extra value to everybody. Like I said, like the free workout or a free recipe. You can show them the community element by having other people come in. Like I asked Amber to come in and talk in my coaches group. And then I had another hobby coach come in and talk in the coaches group so they could get different perspectives and resonate with different people. You can show different facets of the business too, like throughout your sneak peek groups. So like none of this is from me, by the way. This is from like a combination of what I've heard from a lot of different coaches. I use the same group. So that group, at the end of that 3-day info group, they're notified like, thank you so much for joining us. I'll be doing a final follow-up tomorrow. All of this information will stay up until Sunday night at 12 p.m. And then the group will get cleaned out. You're welcome to stay to hear info in 2 weeks when I run my next group. Like, so that group of people, maybe they're not interested in Lift 4, but then they hear about coaching, and then maybe they're not really interested in coaching, but then they're going to hear about the 2B mindset. So there's so many facets of this business. Like you never know what people really need. If they're not willing to share with you what they need, how are you supposed to know? So it's great to be able to share the different value that we have to offer everyone. So that's kind of an overview of what I've been doing, but the overall message is like, get in and do. Just get in and do. And if you suck at it for a while, that's okay. Like you're going to figure it out, just like you figured out social media, just like you figured out your workouts, just like you figured out your shake and your nutrition plan. Like just get in and start doing it.
Yeah, I love the value that you're creating, and I love the expectations that you're setting. Like that is like, there's the number 2 things that I say in sales that I have to have for my customers is education and expectations. And I feel like people function very well when they know what's expected of them, and then when they have the proper education as to why. So I love that you're setting the expectation that you can be in there as long as you want. If you want, you can hang out. There's going to be another group that's going to be starting. I really, really like the idea of, and I wrote this down, using your prospects to influence future prospects. Like, I think that is really cool. Like, you've got people that are very early in the journey that you are asking and almost empowering to start thinking about this, like, without them really even knowing it, that, hey, gosh, you did awesome on that live video. You could easily be a coach. So
exactly.
Be thinking about that. Like, there's easy ways for you guys to be influencing people that are some of your loyal customers. Ams, I want to kick it over to you at boot camps. I think you do a really good job of this. Like, obviously we keep our energy and our participation and our showing up pretty high in every boot camp that we run. But I think you're also really good about presenting the business sometimes beforehand as like a way to like, hey, just check it out. Why don't you join us for a boot camp? And then we'll kind of see. And then the other component that I think you're really good at is kind of tracking the end of your boot camps and then messaging those people. Could you talk about that briefly?
Yeah, so like Jake said before, for whatever reason, I'm more comfortable presenting the business instead of a boot camp. I think just because I get so nervous that I would come across like, oh, I think you need to lose weight or something. Like I've always that's just been a fear of mine. And so I really like to lead with the business. And so what I'll do is I'll just invite that way. And then I always have a plan B. If they say no to the business, I'll be like, no big deal. Like, maybe it'd be awesome if you even wanted to join for a boot camp. Just let me know. And they're like, yeah, maybe I'll do that. And so there's always a plan B for that. And yeah, so then, some of them join as discount coaches right away. One thing that I've learned is that just because you have people join as discount coaches with a program does not mean that you should consider them a coach. Like, they are a customer. Until they tell you that they want to coach, they're a customer. So when you're going through the people in your boot camps who've gone through, you can't just look at your customers and say, oh, I'm going to recruit them to be coaches. you have to look at everyone, even your discount coaches at the end of a program or end of a boot camp, and approach them about the business as well if you think they'd be awesome, because, you know, they're set up for it, but that doesn't mean that they're thinking about it. And so, yeah, so like, for example, this week 8 of Lift 4, big part of my week is going to be following up with everyone who has gone through it and just, you know, asking them if they've considered coaching. And, you know, a lot of times, I'm telling you, a lot of times if they're a newer customer, they'll probably say no, you know, for a little while. And then that seed has been planted though. And so it might happen where a couple months later, they're like, you know what, I would like to try that coaching thing. I think I am ready to kind of give that a go. And so I think it's just all about kind of instilling that belief in your customers and just telling them and that you think they would be good. And so what I do with it, like practically to follow up, is, you know, just tell them how much I've loved having them in the boot camp. I've loved seeing their results. If they haven't been as active in the boot camp, I might just ask them how it's going. And then I still might just, I'd still would just say, you know, have you ever considered coaching? Is this something that you think might be a good fit for you? But naturally, the people I'm going to reach out to first are the people that have been active in the boot camp. Like, they love the community, they've been talking, they've basically been coaching already. But I just kind of, you know, circle back with everyone, always compliment them. And usually if you include a compliment, you know, they're not going to take that the wrong way. They're going to always say thanks for thinking of me, even if they're not ready to coach. So yeah, definitely just go through and present the business to everybody. But that was a hard lesson that I had to learn, was just because they're a discount coach does not mean you should consider them a coach on your team. They're literally just a preferred customer.
Cool. So one of the things that I want to transition into here is really, you know, probably something that every single person on this call has experienced, where you get somebody who either messages you, they've gone through a boot camp, they've responded that they want to learn more about coaching. Maybe they go through a sneak peek and then it's crickets. You don't hear anything from them. You message them, you send them your details, you know, maybe it's a share card and you don't hear anything. I want to talk follow-up. So first thing first, I want to know, like, what's your timeline for follow-up? Like, you present it, say you present it on a Monday, when are you following up with them again? And then to take that another step further, how often are you following up with them? Do you hunt them down for 3 months? You know, every Monday on the Monday, you know, hey, it's Jess. Or, you know, are you, you know, trying for a couple of weeks? Obviously, we're changing the conversation. I want to make sure we hit that and, like, make sure you guys are on the same page, because it sounds like that's something that Jess is doing, and I know Amber does it. But for starters, just, you know, when are you circling back with them after you've presented? You present them on Monday. When are you following up with them? And then what's that follow-up process like past that?
Yeah. So I'm going to be honest. Maybe it's different for everyone. I would say I follow up monthly, just because, like I said, I kind of do like a huge bulk of messages, like 2 days out of the month. I'll send all pretty much my invites out. That just tends to be, I get in the mindset and I just do it. So if someone didn't respond, chances are, like, they're on my list. I probably won't, like, even if they did not respond. If they respond to me, of course, like, I'm going to continue the conversation. But if they did not respond at all, chances are they're not going to get a message till the next month. I mean, unless it's their birthday or they reply to a story or, you know, some other conversation happens. But in terms of, you know, renewing the invite, it'll be the next month, and I'll share, like, some new facet of what I'm doing. And, like, I wanted to make sure I follow up and don't forget you. And I always make it about them. Like, I don't want to, like, have you missed out on this opportunity if you were still interested. Like, this is a really exciting time because XYZ. And I'm excited that Becca's on this call. Becca, give us a wave right now if you can. Because I followed up with her for over a year, like, pretty much every single month. Maybe sometimes it, like, 2 months went by, but I think, you know, there are just some people that are worth following up for that long. And that's maybe not typical. But I mean, it doesn't hurt. They didn't tell me to stop. I've never had anyone tell me stop following up with me. Once I asked someone in a message, like, is it okay if I follow up with you? And she said, like, you know, I really don't see myself being interested, so please don't. So, okay, like, it, and I still see her in real life person, and there's no hard feelings whatsoever. So I've never had anyone say don't follow up with me. You're annoying the crap out of me. Just stop. Like, I've never had that happen. If I had that happen, then I would stop following up with them, but it never hurts to keep following up.
How about you, Ams? What's your process for follow-up?
Yeah, I would say it's probably about that, but I also kind of like start to see the same people requesting that they want more information. And so you kind of just keep track of that. And, but yeah, I would say monthly is probably about as often as I would get. Might even be a couple months depending on the person.
So just so if you, like, tomorrow is Tuesday, so if you sent out somebody a coaching invite on Tuesday and you don't hear back from them, you wouldn't circle back with them for 4 weeks?
Not the first. This is more like if they had joined the sneak peek and they had gone through all of that, and then then I know they're probably just not ready. No, if it's more like our first conversation about coaching, then I would probably circle back in maybe a couple weeks and just make sure they got my message and ask if they had any questions. But there's a lot of ghosting that happens on social media as we all experience. And so, I do, it's true. Like I will have a lot of people that I'll see that I've sent like 2 or 3 or 4 messages to, and they haven't said anything back. And it's like, it's okay. It's not, I don't take it personally. I just keep following up because it's just timing. Like, it's not that it's personal. It's just timing most of the time for people.
Yeah, totally agree. I want to make sure that I point out just like a couple of like key points. Jess hit on one, like, I love the energy component of it. And oftentimes that's what's missing in our businesses. It's just confidence and energy when it comes to what we're presenting people. And every time that you're following up with them, you're following up with them about something different, but it's something that you thought of as it relates to them. Like, it's always back on them. It's always with a customer focus. I love that. Constantly be looking for ways to bring value. If you guys are in the tail end of trying to recruit somebody, little incentives go a long way. We've done them a bunch throughout, the 3.5 years that we've been running this gig. Tank tops are goofy. Like, people will kill for a tank top. It's amazing. But, if you're in that mode where you want to see your business grow, find a simple solution of ways to kind of incentivize people. Make sure you're not, I'm going to beat this into the ground with this team, but like, please don't forget about take back the kitchen. Don't forget about take back the lunchbox. Don't forget about the ability. Like, if people are telling you, look, I'm not a fitness coach, like, we don't necessarily have to be fitness coaches. And I keep saying, like, we're not hashtag Beachbody. We are our own brand. We're our own team. We're trying to influence people and have them work out with us along the way. That's important to keep in mind. So when you are facing people that are saying, like, look, I don't know, I don't feel really comfortable being a fitness coach, ask them to be a business partner. Ask them to come along with you. Like, you're going to run a fitness business. You don't have to be a personal trainer to do this. You don't have to be a registered dietitian to help families prioritize their meals. But again, it's got to be focus driven. But, I've had a couple of calls lately, and people are hung up on this idea of, well, how do I get them to be fitness coaches? And I just want to remind you, you don't necessarily have to have any background in fitness, but you can be an entrepreneur. You can want to run a business. You can want to run a business that's based on health, that's based on nutrition, it's based on whatever you want it to be. You're just going to have to incorporate some of the Beachbody products, right? So, and then the other thing is there's a real estate guy that I like listening to named Tom Ferry, and he talks a lot about following up with people until they tell you no. And so I like that you guys have some sort of a system in place just to keep circling back. And I know I've said this to a number of you. If you guys aren't creating an Excel spreadsheet or some sort of customer management database, you need to. You need to get that in place, and you need to be tracking when people are messaging you and what they're messaging you about, and have some sort of like spreadsheet in place so you know when you're following up with them. So you're not annoying. So you are creating conversation, and you're not losing track of these people until they might tell you no, which, it doesn't sound like it's happening a whole lot. So with that in mind, I do want to know, like, if somebody is telling you no, and we like to say, like, no, not, no, or at least I know, or not right now. if someone tells you no, that they're not interested, are you following up with them? Are you continuing that conversation, or are you just kind of done and moving on?
So it's funny. I actually would say I follow up with people more if they say no than if they ghost. I don't know if Amber feels the same way. I would say the exception, if someone's ghosting me, but I continually see them on my stories, like I'll continue to follow up. But if someone says no to me, that's like a conversation starter in so many ways. So I would say I follow up harder with the people who say no than the people who don't say anything at all. I feel like when someone says, first of all, if someone expresses interest and then I message them about what it is, they've already been watching me. Like they already know what I'm getting out of this. They already know the energy level. They already know my excitement. They already know how much I love what I do and how much I love the products I'm using. So they asked for what I have. Like they want it. And then if I follow up with like, oh, well, it's shakes, and they're like, oh, I don't want to drink shakes. Or if I follow up with like, it's weightlifting, and they're like, well, I don't know if I want to do weightlifting, or if they're not on Facebook, or it's the cost, or whatever the objection is, and they say no, like they've already kind of shown me though that they have a pain point and they have something that is missing in their lives. So I feel like I would be neglectful if I didn't follow up with that person and give them the opportunity to share with me what is it that they need and what is it that's hurting them. Like that's how I see it. I feel like most of us that have come to this business and come to this process came here because we saw someone who looked like they had joy in life, who looked like they had it figured out, who looked like they had an answer that we were looking for, right? So they've just opened up the conversation to me. Even if they've said no, I would say I follow up on like a weekly basis with those kind of people. Once their name is written down that they've expressed interest to me, like I will follow up with them for that entire month. And I would say, so like if someone, for example, I'm going to run a sneak peek group this weekend. Someone wants to be in the sneak peek group. Maybe I message them after the sneak peek group ends on Sunday. They say like, you know what? I can't afford it. It's not what I expected. I will probably follow up with them in a week and then another week. And I'll try to get to the root of what that is. So for example, if they say they can't afford it, I'll say like, okay, well, I'd love to get you started. I'd love to get you in here. I'd love to help you. You shared with me that you wanted XYZ. Like, what's your budget that you could afford? Because if they actually tell me like my budget is unfortunately only $40 a month for my health, I would say like, okay, great. Like let's do the 3-month membership and then hopefully you can save up money. Like I'll work with them the best I possibly can work with them. But I would say that the percentage of people that actually give me a number is maybe like 5% of people. And so there's a whole conversation that can happen there to figure out like, or I'll ask, is cost really your only objection to joining this? Like, I really want you to have this solution in your life. And so I'll follow up weekly. And if they're persistent that like now's not a good time, that's when I say like, okay, I'll follow up with you in a month. And then I wait a whole month before following up with them. But I'd say they get weekly attention until like I feel really confident that right now is not the time for them. And then I'll give them the 4 weeks to kind of, you know, take the pressure off, let them stew on it, let them get a little more FOMO, let them, you know, see me progress a little further on my journey, and then follow up.
How about you, Ams? If someone tells you no or not right now, what's your process?
Yeah, I totally agree with Jess on that. Like if they ghost me, I'm like, interesting. But if they say no and they kind of are like, that's usually the response is, thanks so much for thinking of me. That's so sweet of you, but I'm just, you know, too busy with X, Y, or Z, or this is going on in my life, or whatever it is. And so then I'll say, totally understand, you know, I'm just, again, just think you'd be awesome at this. If anything ever changes, and I always leave that open door. Like if anything ever changes, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd love to help you if and when the time is right. But then, you know, like I have this one person in particular just right now that it's an acquaintance from kind of like childhood, and I've literally followed up with her. This has got to be like the 6th time, like just like not in a weird way, but just reiterating that I think she'd be so great at this. And finally, for the first time, she's like, hey, she just had a baby, and she's like, you know what? Like my sister's going to give me this DVD. I don't even care. She's like, my sister's going to give me this DVD set. I think I'm going to try one of the programs. I'm like, that's awesome. Do you want to be in my boot camp? She's not even buying anything from me, but I just like, am so excited that she's going to try something that we're doing. And I want her to see my community. And so, you know, it's like a foot in the door. So you kind of have to just keep following up. But like with her, it wasn't every month. It was probably every 3 months, to be honest, because it's been like probably since I started with Beachbody. So, you know, but I definitely just follow up when it feels right too, and when it feels kind of natural to follow up. But yeah, if they say no, I just again think about it's just not right now. And a lot of those people that said no 3 years ago are now the ones coming back going, wow, you actually did something with this, you know?
Which, you know, to highlight is really where consistency matters. You know, for any of you who are new and in the business and getting started, any of you that have been around for a while, like I posted, I don't know if it was a popular thing to say, but it's oftentimes it's not that the business doesn't work, it's that we didn't work. I find that in my own sales career. Like I get bogged down with things, I get distracted, or I kind of check out for a couple of weeks and my numbers reflect it. So that key is showing up on a regular basis, continuing to have conversations, continuing to follow up, and just understanding that the business can take time. You just heard Amber say 3 years. You imagine waiting 3 years for somebody to sign up, you know, for those of you who are just getting started, but that, you know, sometimes that's it. And that's where some of our, you know, our best coaches, any time that I'm doing these calls with people, like I keep asking, like, what was the process for you signing up? And I don't know how many of you out there will say, like, I watched for a year. You know, it's not everybody. I know that. Like we were talking about that on Thursday night. Like some of them were like, look, I signed up right away. Others were like, look, I watched for a year. I watched for 2 years. You know, it's an important reminder. And one of my, you know, just so you guys can save yourself time, one of my favorite follow-up questions to that is what's the value then that you're offering that should make somebody sign up for your boot camp within a week, instead of having to watch you for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and seeing if you're actually going to show up. So just keep that perspective. Sometimes the business is really hot. Sometimes the business is streaky, but that consistency piece, showing up on a regular basis, matters. Maria asked a question. I was going to transition over to this in case you guys do have good questions. I want to open that up. We kind of ran out of time last week, but for people that ghost you, how often are you following up? Oh, I see, Jess. I'm just reading this. I'm not really like super tech savvy, you know. I'm using the World Wide Web over here. So that follow up, you said that you follow up monthly with people, unless they unfollow you. That's awesome.
That's happened. If they unfollow me, that's a pretty clear.
That's a no.
That's maybe happened twice. Like I'm like, oh, they don't want to follow me anymore. So it's fine.
That's a not ever. People say no, I love that, Aaron. That's one thing that I really think is a huge opportunity for all of us, and is just creating. Grant Cardone talks about being omnipresent, and he wants people, like if you go in his Facebook, his Instagram, his Twitter, wherever he is on, LinkedIn, like you will see posts from him at multiple times, at multiple hours throughout the day. He wants you to be able to go to different platforms, and wherever you go, you see something from Grant Cardone. So, and that's in his 10X book. If you haven't read it, awesome read. But along those lines, when it comes to this, like we have people that we follow that do the newsletters. We get them every single month, whether we want them or not. And you're kind of annoyed, but you kind of read it. And then you think, should I unsubscribe? And you don't. So then you get it again the next month. And I think that's, you know, we've tried doing them a couple of times. And I think as, you know, even in our family, because like we're constantly learning in this business too, that's something that we really want to implement. And again, I'm going to, you know, again, back to Take Back the Kitchen. Don't forget, like you guys, you are the CEOs of your business. So if you want, you can have a spotlight recipe. You can do that. You can talk about how like every single week you're going to get a whole week's worth of recipes. In addition to it, here's what I've got coming up for boot camps. Here's a little bit about my family. Like give them something to chew on that helps them get to know you, but it also shows up in their inbox every single month. And you know, some will unsubscribe maybe, but if you're like me, like you mean to about 10 times, you just forget to. I love that. I really like the newsletter idea. Yeah. Do you guys see that post? Would love to know if you have one specific kind of coach sneak peek or free post that people respond to most.
So that is a great question. And the short answer is no, there's not one specific post. But I will say, and again, like, it's just like whatever whatever you're passionate about and sharing. Like, most of my people that have been added to my sneak peeks have been added through messaging them, asking them, thanks for liking my post, thanks for supporting my journey, da da da. Do you want to be added to this sneak peek? Or thanks for watching my stories. Or like, I just thought of you because you really like XYZ. So most of the people added to my info groups are through messages, not people that responded to, maybe one or two, but 90% of them are messages. But I think what makes that response rate to those messages go up is when, like Jake said, like, you're constantly presently talking about what it is that you're running in your info group. So for me, if I, for example, next month, I really want to do like a nutrition focused group, because this is maybe unknown to a lot of people. I actually have not really been able to work out the last 2 weeks, and it sucked. So I like keeping that momentum for Lift 4 has been really hard. But what I have been doing is keeping that momentum for Take Back the Lunchbox, for Daily Sunshine, for the beach bars. And so when you look at my sales from last month, that's where the majority of the sales came from, was from that product. So whatever I'm currently excited, passionate, overflowing, busting about is what I'm going to run my info group on. And if I'm not overflowing, excited, busting about it, for example, because I can't work out hard, I will ask other people to come in. And like tonight, I'm going to share testimonials about Lift 4 from other people and create that excitement from others. So I would say, like, you have to put a little bit of thought into it. Like, if I'm going to run a coaching info group, not just post to lead generators about coaching, but also like posting your stories about coaching, post about your trips when that you went on this year, post about working from your car, post about working flexible hours. Like, you need to be posting, creating that excitement about the thing that's coming up that you're going to do your info group about. I think the response rate for my messages just like went way higher when people were like, oh yeah, I've seen you posting about that constantly. Sure, go ahead and add me. I would like to learn more about it.
One thing that maybe you can hit on here real quick, Ams, I think you do a great job of this. I'm going to kind of relate it to the way that you structure a story. Typically, if you're writing something good, or you want something to relate or hit home with people, it has to start out with like a place of vulnerability, or something that is going to just kind of put you on an even playing field that relates to others. And then you draw the correlation to something with a final ask. Like, it's kind of a threefold process, right? You've got kind of that transition period and like a final ask. I think you do a heck of a job with that now on Instagram stories. You have this like component where you're walking back from the gym, and then you're kind of making your shake, but you're not saying it's Shakeology. And then you're talking about how you're going to hop on and work with some of your coaches and how it's virtual. And then you ask. Can you kind of maybe walk through your thought process on that? Because I think it's so good, and I think all of our team could really probably add 2 or 3 more people to their tribes just by getting an idea of what you're doing there.
Yeah, so Instagram stories, you guys, has been something that has not come naturally to me, and I've really had to work at it because it felt so overwhelming for some reason to just like pop on so often throughout my day. But I'm working at it, and I have found that, it's just about sharing the stuff that seems so simple and so like the stuff that you don't even think about. That's just part of your daily routine. And so, usually I'm sharing a little bit. If I do a workout that day, I'll share maybe a couple workout moves, not too many, because sometimes that can get kind of boring to watch. Just like a couple. And I'll share, usually, like, since we've been living here, something that went wrong with the kids that day, like something that's just relatable of, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe how school drop-off went, or I'm so tired because no one slept last night, or whatever. So something kind of real life. And then at some point during the day, I'll have something that's pretty direct about what I'm doing in the business. So I'll explain and kind of educate on, let's say, beach bars. And so like last week I did a series of posts about okay, so I've been getting a few questions about what is a beach bar? What does it look like? So I like took one out of the packaging and I showed people what it looked like and why I like it. And then at the end of that, I did a poll. Like, anyone interested in learning more about these beach bars or something, got a bunch of people to reply to that. I'll do another poll maybe about coaching. I'll share maybe something that I love about coaching. But I do think that people want you to talk to them. Like, I don't think you can just go throughout your day and like take a little glimpse, like little pictures of this or that without saying anything to them, because I think that when you like, then they feel like you're actually their friend, that you're trying to share your life with them. So I try to do a little bit of that every day, of just kind of talking right to my audience. But the polls have been so great, just because if you kind of, what I've learned too is if you sprinkle in like just random posts about, like last week I did, my girls love these dolls called LOL dolls, and they're just like the stupidest thing ever. But I posted about them and I said, who else has daughters that love these stupid dolls? And I'm telling you, hundreds of people responded to this poll about these stupid dolls. And I do not get that many people to respond about my fitness stuff. But when you are doing polls often enough, it conditions them to just learn to respond. So yeah, I mean, I think you're so right though, Jake. Like, if people were just on stories more, I swear people just like, that is where business is just hot right now, because it's just so personal.
I also want to give Aaron Trier a shout out, and I'm going to prove it to you, actually. I bet you I can find it. I love this. I don't watch everybody's stories. I apologize. But you probably can't even see. But I took a screenshot of you did something right when the Take Back the Kitchen menu came out. And I don't know if you guys are all doing that, but you had something where you were kind of talking about it. You were figuring out your groceries for the week, showed like a screenshot picture of the menu. And I thought that was like just brilliant, because I know I've probably used this analogy with you guys or story before, but I was in Chicago last summer, I think, and I did a workout with my cousin, and she literally, like, I put her through Shift Shop 35, and she was like laying on the ground by the end of it, and she was like, I had no idea that this is what you do. And I was like, well, what do you think we do? And it was just a reminder to me that we talk about this as if it's common knowledge, because it's common knowledge amongst the 40 of us that are on here tonight. But we need to be quantifying what it is that we do. And we think that people know what Take Back the Kitchen is, but I love that you have like kind of an intro to it, picture of the menu. Would you like more information? And I don't know if you got more people that wanted information or not. Maybe you didn't. But I promise you, if you show up each and every week doing it, and each and every week it's different recipes, and Monica does such a good job with making it colorful, and like this week's meal plan looks awesome. So I think, like, just remembering that we have different parts of our story that we can continue to bring in, but we do have to quantify what it is. And that's where showing a little bit of the workout, talking a little bit about normal life, showing what our menu looks like for our week, all that kind of stuff, showing our progress, conversing with people, I think is so important. So, oh, look at that, Amanda Barrett. That's awesome. That's so cool. And that's where, hopefully we just, with these fire starter calls too, like that just continues to be opportunities for all of us to learn from things. Like I had never seen that before, but that was something that was already learned from somebody else. And I just think we should all be implementing it. So be prepared to see a message from me on Friday. And I'll see if I can get like the thing for you just to save it to your phones and then post it. I think our whole team should do it. Why not? Cool. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll wrap it up when a little bit over. But hopefully this was beneficial. Thanks so much, Jess and Amber, again, for spending your time. And I've got like a really, really cool series of ideas coming up here, just as far as like different types of coaches that I want you guys to hear from, because we're all at different points in this journey. Any closing remarks, Jess?
The only remark I have to you guys is like, stay fired up, because post summit got real for me. Like, I feel like I was in maintenance mode until summit, and I was so fired up. And then it was all about just like finding a way to keep that enthusiasm. And like you got to listen to the Wake Up Call, and you got to plug into the Beachbody Champions page, and you got to be so excited for every product that comes out, and like not ashamed to be excited about it, because if you're not sure it's amazing, then your prospects aren't going to be sure it's amazing. Right. So that's really it. Like, no matter which way you recruit people, like just be really, really excited about what you're doing and really excited about sharing it.
How about you, Rams?
I just want to say, like, just to give Jess a shout out here, like, literally it's just been so cool to see her kind of progress. And so I know right now you guys are watching her, like, you know, she has so much figured out, but I'm sure there's some of you out there who are going, gosh, I wish I had it figured out like that. And it has been so cool because she has literally just taught herself so much. And like she said, she's proactive about learning from other coaches and in different trainings. Like, and I always tell my leaders this, but I'm like, the leaders are the ones who literally, like, they just go for it, right? Like, I'm not telling them every little thing they should be doing. They just run with it. And I think that, you know, what's just cool with you, Jess, is like, you do just figure it out. But you get frustrated too. And you'll tell me that, like, you know, we've talked to where you're like, this sucks. I don't know what else I should do. And, you know, I think I admit that it's hard, but then to fight through that and just try different things, like you said, just get dirty and get to work. It's just really, it's possible, you know, and now you're just in this really awesome groove. But I don't know, it was just so fun to hear you tonight because I just know all the work that you put in, you know, to get to this point. So you did so good.
Well, thank you. And like, also know what you need. Cause when I messaged Amber, it was like, I needed somebody to breathe the belief into me that I could do it. There were many times, like in the last couple of months, I'm just like, I don't even know, like, if I can do this anymore. I feel like I'm barely hanging on. But like telling my husband, like, remind me that I can do this. Like messaging Amber, like, remind me that I can do this, please. It's really important to get that support if you need it. Don't be alone. Like, any one of us coaches here will message you back if you message us and say you need some support or you need some help or you need a tip. Like, we're all going to be there for you guys. So don't be alone and do this.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you again to both of you. And we'll see you guys tomorrow on the Ignition Mission page. All right. Have a good night. Happy Labor Day.